Well, all right, kiddos, it's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains. We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So there's this scene in Fight Club, both the 1999 David Fincher film and the 1996 novel by Chuck Palahniuk. And in this scene, the two main dudes, the narrator, played by Ed Norton in the film, and Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt, in the role that truly cemented his rise to cinematic prominence. In this scene, Tyler Durden has pulled a young clerk named Raymond K. Hessel out from a convenience store and is holding a gun to his head while rifling through his wallet.
Oh, come on.
An expired community college student ID. What'd you study, Raymond? Stuff? Were the midterms hard? I asked you what you studied.
Biology mostly.
Okay, yes, that was Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden. And yes, I am using that clip under the fair dealing section of Canadian Copyright Act. So don't stress and don't write me any emails. But more importantly, it turns out Raymond K. Hessel in this scene had been studying biology to be a veterinarian, but dropped out of school because it was too hard. So Tyler Durden, still holding the gun to his head, tells him,
I'm keeping your license. Gonna check in on you. I know where you live. If you're not on your way to becoming a veterinarian in 6 weeks, you will be dead.
Of course, Norton, our trusty narrator, is sickened.
That wasn't funny. What the f*** was the point of that?
Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond K. Hassel's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted.
Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond K. Hessel's life. That is exactly how I feel about catch and release fly fishing. The next bug that fish eats will be the greatest meal it has ever tasted. What's up, mountain lifers? My name is Feet Banks, and the reason we're talking about fishing is because legendary Canadian angler and fly fishing master Jim McLennan is on the show today. Jim has a new book out, Trout Tracks, so we'll talk about that, and also stuff like river conservation, crowd avoidance, and why women might be better casters. So it's fishy, fishy, fishy day here on Live It Up with Mountain Life, and if you're not interested in fishing, you should stick around, but if it's not for you, don't tune out until after you hear this message from our partners at Rucks. Rucks is a Canadian brand that's created an all-in-one compactable and adaptable carry and storage system that brings new levels of efficiency and convenience to storing, carrying, protecting, accessing, and using your outdoor gear. The 70-liter Rucks is an instant classic. It's a bin-bag hybrid, but it's totally its own thing, and I use mine to hold my waders and river boots, a bunch of fishing gear, a small net, and my Lucky Dave Sheets fishing toque. But you can put anything in there, really. And this summer, Rucks just dropped a brand new dry bag that's fast to pack, easy to tote around, totally waterproof, and integrates seamlessly with the original Rucks system. You pretty much need to see Rucks to understand its awesomeness. So go on the internet and hit up www.rucks.life. That's RUX.life. Even better, Rucks is offering Live It Up listeners 20% off at checkout, and the promo code is MountainLife20. That's Mountain Life and the number 20, no spaces. And no kidding, these things are awesome. They keep the gear in and the elements out. They will make your life better. Okay, so our guest today is Jim McLennan. Jim is a fly fishing guide and instructor, an avid participant of the endeavor, and a television personality. You could potentially call him a purist, which is awesome because he has taught thousands of people to throw flies over the years and passed along a ton of first-hand, old-school knowledge and philosophy that's also found in his writing. Jim's latest book is Trout Tracks, a collection of essays pulled from his work with various magazines, including the much-heralded Fly Fusion. Jim's home river is the Bow in Alberta, and mine is the Squamish here in BC, so that means this chat was conducted online. Here we go.
Well, we had quite a bit of snow in the mountains, which is always good.
Yeah.
Then we had a really quite cold spring. So runoff was late. And we're still just now, which is late July, getting into sort of the kind of summer conditions we expect to have and we're used to having. So it's been kind of slow coming this year, but it's finally here.
And I mean, I guess that's fishing, right? You never know what you're going to get.
That's exactly it. We don't do it because we know what's going to happen. We do it kind of because we don't know.
Exactly. We don't do it because it's easy. We do it because it's not, right? I think that's in your book. So this is what I have, the latest book, Trout Tracks, Essays on Fly Fishing. This is your fourth or fifth book, or?
It's the fifth, actually.
Yeah, I read it. Excellent. It's a compendium of a lot of your columns. Did you produce some new columns for this book, or was it just a collection of old stuff?
It is. I didn't write any new ones specifically for the book. The way it came about, I did a previous collection called Watermarks, and I've been thinking about another book and not sure what I should do. And then I finally realized that the Watermarks collection came out quite a long time ago. Like I forget what it is, 10 or maybe even 12 years ago. And I thought, well, maybe it's time for another collection. And I went through all the stuff from the various magazines, and I had way more than enough to sort through and draw from.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Nice. So the book is sectioned off into, kind of thematic, not chapters, but super sections.
Yeah.
Was that something you did, or did that come from the editing team, or?
No, I did that. We had a bit of a discussion about it. I didn't know whether it would be best to kind of group them together. Like there's sections on people, there's a bit of a how-to section, there's kind of a humor section and that sort of stuff. And I didn't know whether we should group them together or just sort of mix them throughout. I checked some of the other similar books. John Garrick's books, I think, are not in grouped by topic at all.
Right.
And I just thought that, if you put all the how-to stuff together, it might be kind of dry.
Yeah.
To go from one to the other. But the publishers thought that they should probably be in sections, and people are probably not going to read it from one end to the other anyway. They're going to hop around with whatever topic, whatever title.
For sure. Or just read one and then go to sleep, or read one and then get back to whatever they're doing.
Yeah, or read the first paragraph, fall asleep. Read the next paragraph. Can I just put my headphones on?
Yeah, of course. Do whatever you need to.
It's okay.
So yeah, a collection of columns. I mean, you've obviously been writing about fishing a long time, but how early on did you get into actually fly fishing? Do you remember what's your first memory of fly fishing or fishing in general?
Well, fishing in general started with my dad and some friends of his. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, and we used to spend a lot of time every summer in Jasper Park. And so that's really where I started to fish. He had some very avid, some friends who were very avid fisher people. They weren't fly fishers, but
yeah,
we would go fish some of the lakes in Jasper Park, McLennan Lake and Pyramid Lake and a bunch of those lakes. And usually fishing with spinning tackle or bait, that sort of stuff. And I really liked the fishing. And then my father had some other friends who were fly fishers, kind of back home around Edmonton. And my dad retired. When he retired, he thought he would take up fly fishing because he liked fishing, and he was a really, really avid bird hunter and trap and skeet shooter.
Yeah.
And he just thought fly fishing would be a good idea. So he got all this stuff, and he got some help from some of his friends. But the real passion never quite settled on him, but it sort of bypassed him. I mean, he did some, and he liked it, but he never got into it the way I did. And so
did you have brothers and sisters along for that ride, or?
Well, I have one brother who is just about 11 years older than me, and he was not a fisherman. I mean, he fished, some when he was a kid too, probably the same way I did, but it did not. He didn't get it either. Kind of the ironic thing is he lives in just out of Kamloops, where there's
some decent fishing
of really good lakes to fish.
Yeah. And
he doesn't fish, but that happens sometimes. So that's kind of how I got started with some friends of my dad's who were fly fishers, and some of my earliest memories about fly fishing were of reading some of the books, and I don't even know where I got the books. I bet Dad's friends maybe loaned him some of these books. One of them was called Trout, written by Ray Bergman, and it just that maybe helped a little bit with the idea of writing. And certainly with the idea of fly fishing, and there was lots of really interesting experiences that he wrote about in there, and I just found it fascinating for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you have the writing bug as well when you were young, or did that come from the fishing?
I think that came from the fishing and from reading about fishing. For my recollection of starting the writing was, like a lot of kids, I didn't pay any particular attention to English or literature classes in high school, or even the ones I had to take in university. I got an education degree to be a music teacher in university, and I think there's probably some literature courses along the way in there, and I didn't. I wasn't particularly interested in it then, but as I continued to read some of the fly fishing books and magazines, I do recall for quite a long time thinking, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could write a story. And finally, after many years of just having that thought buried way in the back of my head somewhere, I thought, well, I'm going to do it. I must have been especially bored. I guess at that time I was guiding fly fishers in the summertime and trying to play music in the winter, and so that meant I had a lot of time in my hands.
Yeah.
And so I just wrote a story and I sent it to a magazine and they bought it. And I thought, well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And of course, when that happens, you're going to do it again. So I did some more, and I've really been doing it in some amount ever since. And that would have been, I think I sold my first story in about 1978, maybe.
Right.
Somewhere in there.
I perused through as much as I could of sort of your, the old magazines and stuff. Mm-hmm. For writing a column, it seems like those mags would kind of come out, 4 or 5 times a year, or?
Yeah, most of them I think are probably 4 these days. I think maybe Fly Fisherman is more often than that, but somewhere in there, 4 to 6.
For you to be on that deadline of a column, is it something that you kind of have prepared, or is it the classic writer thing where, it's the day before and you're cranking out your column and sending it in?
Do I have to be honest?
Yeah, well, you don't have to be. You're a fisherman, right? So lion comes with the territory.
Assume that I'm not being honest. No, it's both. It is sometimes hard to come up with a topic. I've been doing the back page column in Fly Fusion magazine, I think, since the first issue. So that's
right.
10 or 12 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of those 900-word columns. So yeah, once in a while it's a little hard to know very far ahead of time what it's going to be about. Sometimes I do. Like, for instance, right now, I got a pretty good idea what my next one's going to be about.
Right.
Quite often I don't, and I have to. So I'll think back through, experiences I've had or things that have kind of caught my attention.
Yeah.
I do find that, like, people ask, I teach writing a little bit, outdoor writing, and a pretty common question is, what do you do about writer's block? That's the classic thing where you're tearing your hair out because you just can't think, you can't get started, you can't do it. Now, everything you write down is terrible, and my response is, I've never had writer's block, and for me, I know the solution is just not to be too concerned about how good it is when I start writing. You have to write the good stuff first. You have to write the good stuff at some point. But I can always get started. And if it's junk, that's okay. It'll come out later, but it'll get me rolling.
Yeah.
And so, when I have kind of a topic, other little angles will come into my mind. So I'm always able to write words.
Yeah.
My approach is to get them down in whatever manner they fall to my head, and then clean them up and sort them out and fix all the goofy stuff later. So.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm similar. I wrote a weekly movie column for 17 years. Yeah. And I always say the same thing. Writer's block, it doesn't exist. It just means you're either scared or lazy, right? Sit down and do the work.
Yeah. Or you're too concerned with writing.
Yeah. Scared that it won't be good.
First time your fingers hit the keys.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're obviously
the movie column.
That was in the Whistler paper, Whistler Peak.
Okay, is that where you are?
I'm in Squamish now. Sure. Yeah, but I grew up in Whistler.
Oh,
so didn't get into river fishing until I came down here. Okay. Yeah, it was. We just I don't know, lakes. Grew up fishing lakes.
Yeah. Well, what's the name of it? There used to be a good fly shop in.
Yeah, sure. Brian Niska had Whistler Fly Fishing. Yeah, I just spoke with him this morning. He says to say hello.
Okay, yeah. Say hello back.
Yeah, he's up in Terrace now on the Skeena.
Okay.
So I'm going to go visit him next week, actually, with my folks.
So what do you catch up there now? Is this?
It's early for steelhead, but there's some. And then we'll go do a day on the ocean at a Kitimat, too, just because my folks like the ocean. But
good. Well,
yeah,
hi, Brian.
I will for sure. So... You talked about, being a musician, and I know your wife is an artist and a photographer. There's an idea floating around that if you're good at one art, you can kind of be decent at all of them. Would you lump fly fishing in as an art? I mean, is it a sport? Is it an art? Is it a lifestyle? What are your thoughts on how it is now?
Well, as whether it's an art, a sport, or a lifestyle, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I think it depends a little on how you approach it. It's certainly a lifestyle. The whole concept of the trout bums and steelhead bums and all that sort of stuff. Whether it's an art, I'd have to think about how I would define art. Art may mean you have to be expressing something that other people can pick up on and interpret, and I'm not sure.
Sure. It's more of a craft.
The writing of it can be an art, or should be an art.
Yeah.
So
tying flies, would that be considered an art, or is that still a craft, do you think?
I've never thought about these things. If I define it by the art has to be something that moves somebody else in some way.
Right.
Then mostly, I guess I'd say fly tying is not, although it's sure artistic.
Yeah, it feels like it, right?
Yeah. I have to revise my definition.
Well, I mean, I feel like if you haven't thought about it, nobody has, because you've covered a lot of the things that other people haven't thought about.
Actually, it's something I did hear one time about, like what you said. If you're good at one art, you're good at the others.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's not true, because there's thousands of arts out there that I can't do, like the visual art, the painting and drawing that my wife does. I have no idea how people.
Yeah.
But one time I heard a little live presentation by Joni Mitchell to a group of dancers. They had just presented a ballet set to her music, and some of the university student dancers were invited to come and have a little session with Joni in a classroom. And my daughter at that time was at the University of Calgary in the dance program, and she said, "I'm going to go get to sit in this room with 30 or 40 people and Joni Mitchell." And I said, "Okay, I'm coming."
Yeah.
And so I did. And I heard her talking, and someone asked her, because she's both a painter and a musician, and someone asked her, how do you balance the two things, or how do they affect each other? And sort of a question about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She is good at both. And she said, "Well, I just consider it kind of to be sort of crop rotation."
Right. Yeah.
I'll do that for a while. So she didn't prioritize one. There's a time for one and a time for the other.
I mean, it's interesting. Bob Dylan was a painter as well, right? Like seems like there is a correlation there. One of the things that I read in the book, you're talking about grandkids and teaching. I know you guys have a fly fishing school, and teaching the love for and the need to protect the water and the things that live in them. A lot of the outdoor pursuits, I don't think, seem to have as refined of that ethos. So I think about hiking, right? Like, the hills are alive around here with people that will go up and then, leave a smoldering campfire and a green dog shit bag, or does it feel like fishing is special or unique in that way? And why or is fishing sliding down the hill as well as more people get into it?
I think, and I know this is going to be, I suppose, self-serving, but I think maybe the people who are getting into fly fishing are already aware of the importance of at least, doing no damage. Yeah. And at best, becoming involved in protecting the resources. And there's kind of a history to that, both with not just fly fishing, certainly with fly fishing, and also with a lot of hunting groups.
Right, for sure.
Ducks Unlimited and stuff like that. They work harder to protect the resource because they have the most intimacy with them. Yeah. And so there's a bit of a tradition in that in fly fishing, and I think as people taking up fly fishing, and there are lots of them taking it up now. COVID did to fly fishing what it did to hiking and biking and all that sort of stuff. There's lots of people into it, and I think if somebody starts fly fishing, they can't get very far down the trail before they start hearing these things and finding out about Trout Unlimited or the Steelhead Society and things like that. And I don't know, I suppose I'd like to think that fly fishing attracts thoughtful people, and I think it does, but it's not the only thing that does.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the fact that there's another living being involved, right? Whether it's a fish or an animal, or if that's, that intimacy with another living creature kind of drives that deeper sense of connection.
I bet it does, because it's a more direct contact. I mean, there's always other living things involved in hiking and in
for sure
everything we do, but this is more direct. It's right there at your feet,
Yeah.
And the whole premise or whatever, catch and release fishing, I think allows catch and release is not a perfect solution to any of the...
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand it.
No, they don't, and I understand why they don't understand it.
Me too.
I look at it as being the better of several evils,
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that people kind of like the idea that they can do this without, at least in theory, inflicting harm. And when people ask me about, well, what about the fish? I mean, how do they feel about this? And I think, well, yep, some fish are going to die when we catch them and release them. And for that fish, it sounds terrible. It's too bad.
Tough day.
Yeah, it is. But in the big picture of I guess the capital F fish or capital F trout.
Yeah.
The fact that we're doing this, I think we do. We certainly can be the fish's best friend, if you like. And I've said, maybe I said it in the book, I can't remember, that in some cases the fish need fishermen more than the fishermen need the fish.
Right.
Because they're the ones who are trying to, for instance, in Alberta, not only fishermen by any means, but we have this big issue about expansion of open pit coal mining in our mountains, and lots of people opposed to that, and including lots of fly fishers, and there's just things like that are supported by the people who do it.
And out here, it's mostly dams and logging and stuff, but does it feel like I read, the Hag Brown book, I think it's Summer Fishing or something, and he talks about, how his home river changed with the dam.
Yep.
You've been around, not that long, but you've been around for a while. Does it feel like, are we winning the battle to protect rivers? Are we losing the battle? Is it more the same? Is it different? I mean, I know we still have a lot of problems here in the sea to sky, even with old dams and their flow, let alone new dams.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. We win some and we lose some. There's some places in the U.S. where they're actually removing dams, and it's going to allow salmon to migrate, come back up and spawn where they haven't for decades. Mm-hmm. And this coal thing in Alberta, I think we may have made a temporary victory. Something I heard one time was in a talk from John Randolph, the longtime publisher of Fly Fisherman magazine. This was in a talk he gave, I think, in Toronto. And I think he was talking about logging then in the headwaters of trout and salmon streams. Excuse me. And he said, well, we have to remember that all our victories are temporary and almost all our defeats are permanent.
Yeah.
Now, that's not even quite true, because if they're taking away dams, that's a defeat that may have been overcome. But there's always things, and there's things we don't understand very much about. The whirling disease thing. We've got whirling disease in some Alberta streams now, and I don't think anybody really knows what to do about it, except wait for it to sort itself out, which it seems to have done in other places.
Right, naturally.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
it's not like a lake where it's a closed system, or it can be a closed system. Mm-hmm. So you can't just, get rid of the fish and put in different fish. And, there's a lot of talk now about the cumulative effects of catch and release mortality. And there's just not enough known about it, I don't think. So are we winning or losing? Again, the answer is yes. We're winning some and losing or still be we're still behind in some. Some of them, I don't think any of them we've completely won. We may be ahead at the end of the second period in some of them, and some of them were behind at the end of the first period. So
yeah. Conservation in general, I don't know, is it getting crowded on the river out there? I mean, do you feel like we need, especially post-COVID, do we need to just chip away at the Crown land and create some more places for people to go that's more accessible for, your average city dweller that wants to drive 2 hours and be there?
you mean do we need to get more Crown land?
More parks, like take away some Crown land and create more parking lots at areas?
Well, there's definitely more people on our best streams.
Yeah.
Since COVID, it was trending that way anyway. I mean, we've got some really good fishing, and we've got a growing population, and we've got a growing sport. So it's kind of inevitable. And we are really fortunate in Alberta because we have a ton of Crown land around our trout streams. The Rocky Mountains Forest Reserve runs along the foothills and the edge of the mountains in southwestern Alberta. And that is completely accessible to people, whether there's parks or not. They don't have to designate them as a park. If it's in the Forest Reserve, it is Crown land. So we're really lucky that way. I won't comment on whether we need more parks. I don't know enough about.
Right. Have you been over to the United Kingdom where they have these private streams where you have to pay to fish? Or
no, I haven't. I have several friends who've been there. But the interesting thing about that is when someone comes here from there where they're used to having to pay to fish. Yeah. On pretty much any of the good streams, they have to pay to fish. They just can't get over the fact. You mean you just go out there and fish? Yeah. Well, you got to buy a license. But what's that cost? Well, about $35 for the year. Yeah. And I can just go fish any of these streams. Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole new. Granted, but the rest of the world doesn't necessarily operate that way. So
totally the Wild West.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So you speak about the tendency of fisher people to stretch the truth, to exaggerate, even, and you play into it in the book where it's like, I remember I caught 4 fish before he caught 1, but it could have only been 1 fish. That's not unique to fishing. I know there's lots of skiers that are talking about a 20-foot cliff that was only 12 feet, but it feels like fishing has refined it or accepted it or leaned into it as part of the character of the endeavor.
Yeah, I think we claimed it as our own and are almost proud of that.
Yeah. Does it feel like it's changing? Are people getting more tightly wound about specifics and metrics? Like it feels like the world's getting more kind of rulery and less airy-fairy. Does it feel like it's changed to you?
Well, I don't. Maybe it has. People are always interested in how big the fish is they caught. Yeah. And the older people get, the more time they spend in the sport, the less they care about their own fish or somebody else's fish. So I don't know. I think it's kind of the same. I think a lot of people measure fish without a tape measure.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you hold the fish closer to the camera. That's kind of standard, right?
Yeah. And so I quite often I think they're new. Maybe people are new to it and they hear about somebody catching a 24-inch brown trout, so they catch a real nice one, and it's 24 inches too. I mean, I shouldn't assume. Well, here's the thing: because we have this reputation, and we kind of enjoy it for stretching the truth. I said this in the book. I don't remember, but if somebody asked me how big that fish was that I caught, I got a bit of a dilemma. So I'm thinking, okay, whatever I tell you, you're gonna assume I'm exaggerating. You're gonna take 2 inches off, so I'm gonna add maybe 3 inches on, because when you take 2 inches off, it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, it's an algorithm.
So you kind of have to exaggerate. If people are assuming you're exaggerating, you pretty much have to do it.
And then, of course, if it sounds too good, they're going to ask you where you were, and try to get to your secret spot, which is another tenet of fishing is the secret spot. Yep. For you, how does somebody get an invite to a secret spot? Is there a process that you put them through, or do you run by character instinct, or what?
Yeah, I'd be character instinct, that sort of thing. If I know somebody well enough, and if I think they kind of understand unwritten rules. It's not a rule, but it is. It's a thing for sure. I mean, there's, in my opinion, I'm going to sound like an old grump here, but I wish people wouldn't say where they're fishing.
Yeah.
On social media.
I mean, I don't think that makes you sound like an old grump. That's pretty standard for anyone that cares about the outdoors. I mean, it's a little bit elitist, right?
It does, yeah.
But that's okay. When you put the time in, you're allowed to be a little bit elitist, I think.
I guess so. We found our spots. I mean, people showed me lots of spots, and I've tried to respect them. Yeah. I found lots of spots myself because I kind of made the long-term commitment to do this. And so, I mean, it used to drive me crazy. Somebody say, oh, yeah, I caught this big brown trout out west of the Red Deer. Oh, where? Well, I mean, I don't even know if I asked where, but I learned pretty quickly not to ask, but I would shoot. And so you start looking at maps, and that's always the way it's been. The other thing is new people in it are growing up. For them, it's less of a solitary sport anyway. Right. They're not necessarily going somewhere fishing to be alone, whereas a whole bunch of us are. Yeah. Well, I mean, in the book, you have, that chapter, to share or not to share. Yeah. And of course, it ends with the guy who, just because you're my mother doesn't mean I'm going to tell you where it is. I can tell you, yeah. Well, fishing is fish are a finite resource, and so is solitude, really. So that's a good way to put it. I understand that. Can I borrow that line? Of course, you can have that one. I don't write nearly enough about fishing because I don't feel like I can, but for sure you can have that one. What I always talk about when I do write about fishing is the sense of this is something that humans have been doing for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And whether we think about it or cognitively aware of it or not, to tap into the fact of standing there trying to trick a fish onto your line. I mean, we've been doing that since the dawn of time. That's right. And I think somewhere in there, the body knows that. Yeah. Roderick Haig Brown had a great quote about that relating it to sport fishing. He said, sport fishing began the day the first guy left the tribe in the cave and went out to catch a fish when they didn't need food. Right. Yeah. Because he needed to get away. Because it was fun. Yeah. So you and your wife have this fly fishing school. You spent decades teaching people to fish, and also to read the river and to understand the environment around them. Mm-hmm. I just want to ask straight up, do you think women make better fishermen? Like, would it be obvious if the exact same amount of women and men were fishing, would the men be outfished every time? If they had the same amount of experience. Yeah, if everything was even except for that. Yeah, I think men would be being outfished. Do you have any idea why? Women are more attuned. No, I don't even know if you can say stuff like this. I don't know either. Yeah. I think you can. Women, I think, are more in tune to stuff like timing. Yeah. Rather than instead of brute strength, maybe. I notice this when we're teaching casting, particularly casting. If it's a woman who's never done it before, I can probably get her farther along in an hour or two than a man who's never done it before. That's too general, I guess, but I mean, generalizations for sure. There's always the exceptions, and there's always the exceptions that prove the rule. But generally, there's a reason that they're called generalizations, because generally it seems that way, right? Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, there's nothing to. I don't think men have an inherent advantage. Maybe in wading, because men are on average a little heavier. They get glued to the bottom a little bit. Right. Women have been in fly fishing for a long time. Of course, Joan Wolfe was a world champion fly caster, and she was not large. Yeah. She probably was plenty strong for her size, but she had just immaculate timing, and, right, and understood what was going on. So, I think that's one of the really great trends now is there's more women doing it. The industry has been hoping for that and even claiming that for quite a long time. Right. I spent some time as a sales rep for Orvis, and even before I was doing that, which I started in, I guess, 2000, they would bring out women's fly fishing products and waders and vests and all kinds of stuff, and it just never quite happened, but it's happening now.
Yeah.
We have a number of female guides in Alberta these days. Some of the best ones are women. That doesn't mean there aren't really good male guides too, but it's happening now, and it's really good, I think.
Yeah.
We need more women doing more stuff that men have traditionally done in general. And don't get me started on politics, but
Well, yeah, taxes and politics and all that stuff. I mean, it makes for good podcasts because you can piss people off, but I try to avoid it.
yeah.
When you're teaching somebody, sticking with fishing guides, what do you think are the qualities of a top guide? I mean, you've obviously done it, and you employ them.
Yeah, I think at the top would be an understanding that to have somebody else catch a fish under your watch is a greater accomplishment than catching a fish yourself. Most of the time it's harder. If you're experienced enough to be a guide, you're probably pretty good at catching fish, and you can probably catch the fish. But if you can help somebody else catch the fish, hey, and the good guides, I think, see that as the real accomplishment and their goal. And aside from that, the more specific things have to be good-natured. They have to be patient. They have to be good instructors, and they have to understand what the client is looking for, what their objective is, and their time together. And they should be organized and on time and all that sort of stuff. But I think that the attitude, I think, is as important as anything, and take joy from the client's success, because the client will really pick up on that, and it'll help make his day even better.
Yeah, I always I think, man, I mean, when I go fishing for steelhead, right, it's once a year. It's kind of like a surf trip, right? You go on one surf trip a year. You're only really getting good by the time it's time to come home, right? So that's how I feel about spay casting, and I just, being able to manage frustration of both client and guide.
Yes, can't let yours show, and you've got to what's the word? Minimize theirs.
Yeah. There's some I call them chapters, but I guess they're essays in the book about flies and sort of the technical stuff and these newer foam crazy flies that don't quite replicate the fly in nature, but still catch fish. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like there's a little bit of a reluctant disdain for those kind of flies.
Really? You picked that up?
I mean, are we seeing a pushback against, the old school ways, or is there hope for those old winged wet flies the way that there's hope for vinyl records, or do people just want to catch fish?
Probably not. They still work, and I still show people how to use them.
Right.
I still use them a little bit myself.
Yeah.
I should use them more. That was that piece. What was that called? Requiem for Dry Fly. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that was a kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. But it is a little. There's a little bit of what I think in there, and I'm kind of taking the role of being an old fud in that one.
Yeah.
I just
Requiem for hatch matching.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I just like the big goofy looking flies, like the Chernobyl ant and the fat Alberts and all those things.
Yeah.
They catch fish, and that's good. That's fine. Personally, I feel a little better if I feel like I've imitated something the fish are already eating. And when I see it's got 17 legs and flash and rattling eyeballs and 5 layers of foam, I think, what in the world could this be? I did Tom Rosenbauer's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we got onto this a little bit, and he made me feel a little better. He said, I know what they think those stupid looking flies are. And I said, what's that? And he said, moths. There's sometimes moths falling,
Right.
all different sizes and shapes, and they
A
look,
big fluffy moth.
yeah. So we'll go with that.
I have a pretty
Fun just to make. It's fun to make fun of them, and I guess I feel better if I think I've imitated something, because to me that's the premise of fly fishing.
Yeah.
Imitating real food.
Nope.
And I guess I'm not wild about. Sometimes it seems like the goal is to see how stupid a fly the
Right.
trout will actually eat.
right. I mean,
I feel embarrassed for the fish when that happens.
yeah, and I mean, we did that. We caught a fish on a piece of beef jerky the other day, but
That smells like food, probably.
and it looks kind of like a leech, right? Once it's been in there for a while. I have limited experience with these new flies, with any flies really, but the way after reading your piece, I kind of looked at it. Maybe it's like training wheels on a bicycle, right? Where when you start biking, you're wobbly, and you take these extra wheels, you take all the help you can get, and then as you become a more proficient biker, you strip that away to more the raw form.
Yeah. The other thing you could put in that category is nymph fishing with indicators all the time.
Yeah,
Strike indicators. They certainly help people catch fish. But what I would say about that, and have said, is that, and that's a really good analogy. They're like training wheels, but a lot of people never take them off.
Right.
And that's okay too. But I just think you're going to progress more if you take the training wheels off, and you maybe learn a little bit more about what's going on under the water. When you have to be,
and you need a more refined feel for it without the indicator.
Yeah, I think so. Now, for people say, well, I don't care. I don't want a more refined feel. I just want to catch as many fish as I can. Okay, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about fly fishing is you can be snobby, or you can be a scientist, or you can not know anything about bugs. You just like to pick something pretty out of your box, and when it works, you feel good, and that's all you want to do. And both ends of that spectrum are perfectly, legitimate.
Do you find it's going one way or the other? Are you seeing young people that are, sort of carrying the torch of the old ways on purpose and ignoring these sort of newfangled techniques? The quote unquote soul fishermen from the start.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. There was a time when I would have said no, that there people, man, maybe I might still say that there's, this is going to sound, here I am being the old FUD again, but if you asked, the really, really avid young, fly fishers today, guides and really accomplished fly fishers, have you read any Roderick Haig Brown? They might say, who?
Yeah.
I'm being really presumptuous here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for young people, have you read anything that wasn't your phone?
Yeah, that's not a fly fishing thing. That's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah.
And where did the no hackle dry fly come from? Have you ever checked into what Gary LaFontaine studied, or Charles Brooks?
I haven't dug into those guys yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm talking about these people can catch fish like crazy, but I just wish there'd be a little more, I don't know, acknowledgement of what's come before.
Yeah.
They know, these people, I think, maybe know where the sport is, where it is now, where it's going, but they might not know quite where it came from.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you talk about Gary LaFontaine in the book and some of these other mentors, and hopefully, be it through this book, through your columns, through whatever, there'll people will grow up, living the fishing life in an admirable manner, rather than, more, some things it can feel exploitative sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good objective, and and I think most people are, and this is just one of my little things because of my age, I guess, that it'd be nice if we acknowledge some of the pioneers of the sport in North America.
Yeah. You talk a lot about rivers. Obviously, you seem very biased to rivers in this book, anyhow. What about saltwater? Have you done much of that, where you get to go to some tropical destination and?
No, I haven't. I would really like to do that. It's a bit of a, I guess, just kind of comes with the territory when you're self-employed.
Yeah.
And doing what Linda and I do. It's been very rewarding, and we've made a living. It has not been lucrative.
Yeah.
I guess it's a kind of a long way around to say we just haven't been able to afford to do.
Well, for sure. I mean, some of those trips are $30,000 for a week, right? To go to Seychelles or something. So yeah,
it's just not in the cards for us. So, well, we knew that, and it's okay. We've been to a lot of other nice places in North America.
Yeah, and I mean, Linda, she's a part of this book as well. She does the illustrations, right? She's a photographer. How did you guys end up? Was she a fisher before? Did she get you into fishing, or was it the other way around, or were you both already fishing?
No, I was the fisher way back when, and she wasn't, but she was interested. She's kind of the person who's interested in all sorts of things that come along. And we went fishing a few times, and she really immediately wanted to do it. She really liked the visual aspect of the casting initially. And then she also, like a lot of people when they're new to it, they think that's really a fun part and an interesting part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember, she thought when she got her first pair of waders, and she could actually get in the water. That's the real, when you talk about stream fishing.
Yeah.
When you're standing in the water, you can feel the pressure of the water in your legs and the water moving around you. It immerses you literally and figuratively in the sport, and that's one of the first things. And she just was really interested in it, and she's really good at it, and she really likes teaching it, and so it's been fun. It's been great.
Yeah, I mean, that is.
You'll say, how did you get a wife like that likes to do this with you? And I said, I don't know, just lucky.
Yeah, I trained her.
Well, yeah, sort of.
No.
Maybe not.
I do love that, though. There's nothing else like that, to wade out and stand literally in the flow of life and time and water, and like it's you could just do that on a hot day, whether you catch a fish or not, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's you can get all flowery about, you're philosophical about all that stuff, but it's a real thing. There's a real connection when you're
for sure.
in the water.
I mean, guys like us that make at least part of our living with words, what are your thoughts on fishing videos? There's a lot of these videos on the internet. Lots of them do seem conservation driven, or even looking to old masters. Is there? Do you worry that people are moving it like they are in many other ways, more video, less reading, or are the videos a nice addition to the fishing culture now?
The videos, certainly as a teaching tool,
right?
The videos are, I suppose it doesn't pain me to say it. They're far superior to written words for specific tasks.
Yeah. How to cast with words is not very efficient.
Yeah,
right.
I was just going to use that same example. I've written about casting, and oh my gosh, it's hard to say what you really mean and describe what really happens. And the videos, of course, you see it. Like, seeing it is better than hearing about it only. So for stuff like in fly tying and casting and various fishing techniques, video is superior to written words or still photographs. But I would still say that video is inferior to a real live person. And that this comes up, it's pretty obvious when we're teaching casting. If you got a good casting video, you can watch Lefty cast a fly, or any number of really, really excellent casters and excellent teachers, but they can't watch you. Yeah. That's the difference, is somebody needs to watch you and say, okay, here's what's going on.
Here's a micro adjustment that you would never notice, but I do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the difference. So I'd still put a real person at the top of the list, and video just below that. And there's also, the fly fishing films that kind of followed, I guess, in what ski films were.
Yeah.
Years ago. I don't know, ski films are still a thing or not.
Yeah, I mean, they're all on the internet mostly, but yeah, they're a thing.
Okay. Yeah, so are the. Well, there's some film festivals that show them.
And these are the ones that I was thinking of, these where they do sort of, sometimes shine history, shine on these masters. Other times it's just, we call it ski porn, or fishing porn, people catching fish. But there does seem to be a genre that does some of the things that we want the culture to learn, right? To look backwards and to think
you're right,
more.
There's a whole one on Joe Brooks and and a number of other ones that do look back at fly fishing. You're right, and I will maybe stand corrected if I say
you've been involved in a fishing show, though, haven't you?
What's that?
You've been involved in a fishing show?
A couple of fishing TV shows, yeah.
Was that more just travel, or?
We moved around some. The first one was a long time ago. It was in the 90s, and we did stuff in Alberta and BC, and we did some in Montana and one up in the north. The last one was Fly Fusion TV that we did. We did 2 seasons for television and 1 season that ended up being just online.
Yeah. And
it's kind of contradictory maybe, because I don't watch fishing TV shows.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure it's a spectator sport, but I've done these shows. So, but I would say that both times we've tried to always have what we call a secondary storyline.
Yeah.
It's not just about going here and catching the fish. It's about telling a story of this place, and in some cases, this person.
Yeah.
And we tried to make it relevant beyond just catching fish. And some of the films that you see at the fly fishing film festivals these days are initially, when they started doing these, it seemed to me quite a few of them were sort of the fish bum things. Here we are in the Baja catching, fishing for these things and sleeping in our car and ain't it fun, and loud, what I would call nasty music playing while they're catching all these fish, and then but now they're becoming much more story oriented. There's one I think it was about a World War II veteran who returned to France,
right?
But this time to fish, and there's some thought going into these things, some stories, and that's a really nice trend.
Yeah,
because fly fishing can be a vehicle for other stories, or the background for other stories. Like a river runs through it. Maybe started that as far as film goes.
Yeah,
it's not a fly fishing story, but it's a story set within fly fishing.
Certainly, and on the biggest stage you can have, right?
Robert Redford production.
So let's say an alien abducts you one day when you're out there and asks you, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?
Is he going to say, take me to your leader?
No, he's going to say,
Right, okay.
He's going to say, I don't understand this. You stand here, you stand all day. Sometimes no matter what happens, the way you're doing it, you walk out of the river with the exact same or less if you lost some flies than you walked in. Can you just explain to me why you do this and what you love about it?
That's a great one. Sometimes you can't explain what you like about it. I like the connection. First of all, I like being outside, and I like being in and around wild things that happen. And on the periphery, I guess, of fly fishing, maybe not the periphery, there's always interesting things going on in the places you fish. Some of them relate to fishing, some of them don't. But either way, you're better off for having been there and experienced it. But as far as the fishing itself, it's challenging and it's difficult at times. You never know what's it's going to be like, and there's something appealing about that. Most of the things we really are drawn to in life, it seems like, have some degree of uncertainty in them. We would play team sports for that.
Right.
The same would have some of that. Golf, I guess, there's uncertainty, and as far as specifically fly fishing, in my case for trout, because that's mostly what I do, I realized a while ago that fish, and trout in particular, are not smart enough, or it's not that you could never ever catch one. If that was the case, it would be stupid. If it's just physically impossible to catch a fish doing what we do, it would be stupid. And at the other end, neither are they is catching them a guarantee every time you make a cast. If that was the case, it would be just as stupid. What would be the point? Except for food, there wouldn't be any pleasure in it if it just every time. So the fact that they're not impossible and they're not a sure thing, but somewhere in the middle makes them perfect. And there's that kind of, I think we're drawn to those sorts of things. We somewhere in our DNA, there's this need to be challenged, I guess.
Yeah.
So from the catching fish part, that's it. And otherwise there's all the other things you get from fly fishing, like being in good places and being with friends and seeing.
So then the alien says, all right, that's fine. You're going to stay here on the Bow River. You only get three flies for the rest of your life. What flies are you going to take?
Do I get different sizes and colors?
Sure.
Okay. That's a good one. I would say I'd probably want a woolly bugger. Of maybe a couple different colors, a streamer, and I would probably I'd have to think here. If I got one streamer, one nymph, and one dry fly, that would mean I'd probably have to fish under the surface 2/3 of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you don't care. You much prefer to be on top.
I'd rather fish dry. How about a woolly bugger and a parachute Adams and maybe an elk hair caddis. So I'd go 2 dries and 1.
All right. Well, we just unlocked the Bow River for all our listeners. Jim, thanks so much for your time. This book is called Trout Tracks. The best place for people to go to get them is at McLennanflyfishing.com or?
Well, that we can certainly, you can send us an email from our website and I'm happy to sign and personalize one, and Linda signs it and we'll mail it back to you.
Awesome.
You should find them in places that carry Rocky Mountain book titles. They have a lot of outdoor books, particularly in Canada.
Yeah.
And I would hope many of the fly shops in Western Canada should have them too. I know quite a few of the ones in Alberta here have them. I don't know whether BC. Rocky Mountain Books is in Victoria, so that makes any difference to.
And I mean, your local bookstore can always order them, right? Yes, if you have a.
They sure can. And it's on Amazon too. I learned the other day.
Well, I'd rather them get it from you.
Well, I kind of would too, but.
All right, and also, of course, McLennan Fly Fishing. When you're in the area.
Yep.
Check it out. Come get a tour. You guys are always sharing fishing with people. Yep, so
we got a few schools left this season before fall gets here. So
okay. Well, hey, I appreciate your time. Best of luck out there. And
this has been really fun. You've researched this, and I can tell you've read the book.
I've read the book, and I like fishing. If it was up to me, I'd be fishing. Right now after I finish this.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to have kept you from the water.
No, me too. Have a great day, Jim. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, everyone, make sure you check out McLennanflyfishing.com. That's McLennan, flyfishing.com. You can order a signed copy of Trout Tracks there or ask for it at your local independent bookstore. I've also noticed it at a lot of the tourism information centers across small towns in British Columbia here, or you can hit up Rocky Mountain Books at their website. Whatever, just get on it. Perfect collection of short reads you can pick up or put down at will. Read it in the boat, catch fish in between, read it before you go to bed. It's fantastic. Beyond that, I want to thank Sharai Rules for the voice work off the top, Adrian Gendro for the guitar licks, Rux for their support, as always, and you, dear listeners, I want to thank for always doing the right thing to protect our rivers and waterways, for treating each other with kindness, patience, and understanding, and for leaving the campsite better than you found it. And for adhering to the first rule of Fight Club, of course. Catch you on the flip side.